Just over 24 hours away from the first round of the 2025 NFL draft, separating fact from fiction, where the Arizona Cardinals could go 16th overall, Johnny. And also, for those nerds out there, we're taking a trip around the NFL draft multiverse.
What's up, nerds? What's up, friends? We got Fran Duffy around the corner. Plus, the consensus on the mock draft street is not there. No one knows what this team is doing, except for your boys. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, pre-draft show edition. I'm Johnny Venerable, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. He's Brack in Studio K. Noah Man, pumping the tunes out here atop a pre-draft show brought to you by our friends at Circle K. Again, hammer home the like button if you're digging Circle K. Download the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com, Bo, for more details.
I'm going to welcome Noah onto the mic real quick. What the hell is that music?
Oh, it was maybe just played a little bit later.
Oh, was it later? Okay,
yeah.
So that's actually how the song, the theme music sounds later. And did you know that, Johnny?
Yeah. You know, I dabble in production once in a while. I dabble.
Noah just like putting his own little spin on it and said as soon as he kicked Damon out the door for vacation, he said, I'm going to put on my headset. I'm going to get on the ones and twos. And I'm going to produce up something special. And he doesn't know he's got two old codgers here. Just like we're just stuck in our routine. Like, don't you dare touch that theme music that's been here for 3 years and will be here until we die.
They always ask us every year, you want new music? And we said, no, we're creatures of habit. But I do respect Noah trying to forge his own path here, not being a copycat of old Damon Dog who's living it up somewhere on a beach right now. We're slumming it. Instead of us, we are slumming it on the mock draft Twitter street, which, dare I say, is as gross as it's ever been, Brack. You texted me earlier today and you said, I think I hated this day last year as well. And I think you're 100% right.
Yeah, even where we felt like there was it was a lock that Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to go 4th overall. It was just so many like misdirections going on, and you had different mock draft or different mock draft. You like Schrager at this time last year had the Cardinals trading down and taking Rome Odunze. So like take even Schrags, who used to be the gospel as far as Cardinals mock draft. He doesn't have that that Midas touch any longer. So, and by the way, no, if you haven't noticed, we push you push back. That's how this works here. You are welcome to. It's a two-way street here.
Okay.
Don't you dare, Noah.
Get cooked. Get cooked.
So much good stuff on the docket today. We got Fran Duffy around the corner. Our final Big Five here of draft season, as we've been doing our Big Five throughout the course of the last 2 or 3 months. We put a bow on it for better or worse, but let's stick on the subject of Peter Schrager and the mock draft scene. Something has happened, at least with the national guys, over the last 48 to 72 hours. Now, Vegas still very much in the camp at the recording of this show that the Cardinals are strongly favored to take a defensive lineman. So if I pull up the odds here on my own, defensive line right now, plus 100. That includes edge and D tackle. Offensive lineman's 225. Corner is 350. And good hell, off-ball linebackers, plus 600. So Vegas very much aligns with, I think, Bo, your and I's mindset, has been this entire time.
Yeah.
Nationally, there's some competing narratives out there. And let's start with our guy, Peter Schrager, who dropped his mock earlier today, as you mentioned. Wasn't spot on last year. Did have Darius Robinson. Here's who he has the Cardinals taking. Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas, who's a nice prospect. From our understanding, didn't take a top 30 visit for the Cardinals. And you're saying, like, this makes a lot of sense. Gannon's a defensive back by trade, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. But you dive a little deeper into this pick, Bo. He doesn't have the height requirement. They like over 6 foot. He's under. He's like 5'10". His arm length is below average for the position as well. It's like, would the Cardinals like him in their CB room? I think so. I think they would take him at some point. 16, to me, it doesn't scream scheme fit. And again, like the measurables, the RAS score, and then you combine all that, Bo, with the fact we tried to confirm it. We didn't get confirmation. No top 30 visit. I just feel like this is just like, oh, we were going to give you Will Johnson, and now Will Johnson's hurt. So we'll just slide the next guy up to the Cardinals.
That's really what the rationale feels like. Yeah. We don't know for sure. It's speculation, but Jahdae Barron, I think if you were to look at a couple of the boxes that he checks, they're big time boxes as far as the versatility, the violence that he plays with, the character, like all just kind of reading up on Jahdae Barron, like it's off the charts. He's somebody that people say off the field, he's as good a teammate, if not better, than he is a performer on the gridiron. So, those are things that the Cardinals hold very valuable. But to a lot of your points, pushing up against Jahdae Barron, cornerback, who played 70% of the snaps outside, but also played a lot of box, played a lot of nickel. Like you've got that guy with the versatility. Like you have to have an extreme amount of conviction that Jahdae Barron can primarily play outside, can be an outside cornerback to play opposite Max Melton in this defense, and can do it at a high level. Like the sense that I get from Jahdae Barron is you put him in there and he fits in that room, but he doesn't, like the cornerback that I think you would have to take at 16 would have to stand out in that room, would have to be that CB1, that guy that you could, I know they play in a zone, but you could put it on an island. That could be just like people want to compare him potentially to Jalen Ramsey. Like he'd have to be Jalen Ramsey in order to be worthy of that selection.
I just am never a big advocate for cornerbacks early, unless, Bo, to your point, like Patrick Peterson asked, there was a couple of years ago where it was like Sauce Gardner and the kid that went to Houston, and they were like easily the best, like top 5 to 7 players in that draft class. Like, I like Jahdae Barron, the prospect. No one's sitting here and saying like, oh, he's got to go top 20. He's got to go top 15. I feel like Peter Schrager, with all due respect, his sources kind of dried up with the Cardinals 3 years ago when Steve Keim left the building. And so
when his buddy Cliff exited.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was best buds with Cliff.
So close. I mean, last year, go look at Schrager's mock last year. Bo Nix to the Vikings. He was all about the Giants trading up to get JJ McCarthy. I mean, wasn't a super accurate mock last year. And listen, I'm not holding anybody like accountable. Like your mock has to be aces, but I think if we're looking at this like, well, that's what the Cardinals are definitely doing. I don't think a cornerback is in play in the first round unless, let me preface all this by saying, and Bo, I think you're in the same camp. If they trade down, everything's on the table. We don't know who's going to be available. We don't know, how far they could go down, the compensation. So like try to contextualize it. If they stick and pick at 16, I don't see a reality. Now, Will Johnson sliding, confirmed by Mike Garafolo yesterday on our show. It's just doesn't make sense for them. There's going to be too many other good players at positions of need, most notably line of scrimmage. I think you can put cornerback to bed. I really do.
Yeah. And Garafolo contextualized it, right? I mean, he thinks, Will Johnson's probably still first round pick, sliding from where he initially was projected to go. Yeah. Fringe top 10 guy. It's probably in the 20s now. And his knee issue, and we'll just call it that, right? Is something that doesn't disqualify him as being an impact player early on. But if you are trying to kind of pit two prospects against each other and then just weigh the pros and cons, like that's going to be a big kind of negative for Will Johnson and kind of pushes him down the list just a little bit, as Garafolo said. And I think that the Cardinals would firmly be one of those teams. So when you start to look at viable cornerback candidates at 16th overall, I don't think that you can find any. I think that you would view it as a reach at that spot.
It's just not, he is not good enough to warrant that selection slam dunk. There'd be too many question marks for me. So again, you want to trade down and take him? I think there's a good chance he goes to the Miami Dolphins. There are people in the Jets building that really like him. Saints building. I mean, just like what we talked about with Tyler Booker, and we're going to get to that here in a second. Like, I just don't think he's a scheme fit. And this year, this is the most important year for scheme fit when all these guys are basically the same player.
Yeah, it's not a clean slate any longer.
No, it's not like, well, he's not a scheme fit, but he's a badass mother effer, a slam dunk. We have to take him, blue chipper. You build your scheme around him. A lot of these guys are hopefully good starters that get second, third contracts, right? And you just see what happens. Well, if that's the case, like, I'm not going to kill you if you take an edge rusher that a lot of people mock 21st, 25th, 28th, if you think he can be edge rusher alpha for JG, if you think he can be an 8 to 10 to 12 sack guy a year. I think we all think like Jahdae Barron is a nice player, but not checking enough boxes for me to have him warrant the 16th overall pick. So
they've flooded that position pretty consistently in 2 drafts. They've spent 3 top 50 picks on it. It would take an exceptional cornerback, I think, to push them to take that position. If they ended up taking Jahdae Barron tomorrow, it would be okay. Well, Gannon believes he can play outside, so I'm going to just follow Gannon. But there's still, like, this isn't going to be the podcast or the show where you're just going to be like, oh, I love the pick because, I have full faith. I mean, that's not untrue, but at the same time, I'm skeptical about their ability to maximize where they were selecting in this draft.
Top 30. They brought in some corners. They've talked to corners privately. Trey Amos, they talked to the kid from virtual meeting with a kid from USC, the kid from Notre Dame they've spoken with. Common denominator, those are day 2 guys. I think it's much more likely they get a corner on day 2. I think either at 47, 78. We don't even know if Elijah Jones can play yet. I saw a picture of Keitrell Clark today. He looked fantastic. So none of those guys, I don't care how good this Jahdae Barron is. If there's no pass rush, it doesn't matter. It means nothing. Yeah. And for a team that's trying to get over the hump, first-year corners that are, in my opinion, fringe guys, you're just not going to get enough of that. So you want to do the Max Melton thing, you want to get another corner on day 2, do that. So that's the first mock. Let's just put to bed Matt Miller's disastrous mock here this afternoon. If we can pull that up. Matt Miller of ESPN, who, you know how we feel his reputation on this show. Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas. This is not happening. The Cardinals are not in on Matthew Golden, nor are they in on any first-round wide receiver. It's just kind of laughable at this point, and we've dogged on him enough. But, I mean, I didn't even look at it this afternoon. Somebody sent this to us. Yeah. And I'm like, well, of course that's what he put.
Yeah. It's the most absurd take. Since he had the Cardinals going corner in the first round and in the second round as well, thinking like, hey, it's such a position of need that they need to add 5 corners in the last three seasons. No, 3 drafts. Matthew Golden is just looking at the stat sheet and saying, hey, this offense underperformed. Let's throw more assets at it. Let's play. Yeah. Let's take this from an approach of fantasy football, which is lazy, and not dive into at all what the general manager of this team has done, how he's built this roster and wants to build this roster. It's to say that they want more firepower, that there's a, what was it? How did he word it there? Which I don't know where that, maybe his source is a janitor at the Cardinals facility. Maybe that's his insight. Maybe that's his intel, because there's no way anybody in the scouting department is spouting off that kind of nonsense, unless they're just trying to utilize Matt Miller as like a pawn to try to misdirect.
So that's a big yikes. So we'll pass by that. So thanks, Matt, for your effort as always during draft season. Let's go to Todd McShay. Yeah, clap it up for everybody. Give Matt Miller a big round of applause. Todd McShay, here's his mock selection. The horror show continues here. How about Jahdae Campbell? If Campbell isn't the pick here, it's because of his medical. You sure about that? Todd, you sure about that? But if Arizona clears him, he makes all the sense in the world. There's a difference between, hey, he makes sense for this team versus this is the pick if the medical clears. So you're like, those first two sentences don't make a lot of sense. You're kind of contradicting yourself there.
Yeah.
Campbell is considered by some or by most teams top 12, 10 to 12 prospect in this class, converted from edge. So he's still developing linebacker instincts. That's exactly what I want. I want a guy who's an edge that is going to play inside linebacker now, who doesn't have the instincts to play right away, so we can slow play this into a disaster. But his versatility to drop back in coverage and rush the passer is highly coveted. So tell me if you heard this before. Edge rusher that is a converted linebacker, still learning the position. Seems great. That sounds fantastic. Sign me up.
Todd McShay just putting together a word salad for his pick. There's a theme here, isn't there, Johnny? And everybody's picking up on it. Is nobody knows. Nobody has any idea. Yeah, they got their blindfold on and they're just throwing darts. They're just throwing darts.
Jahdae Campbell, hello.
Because you're white, exit the organization. They didn't sign anybody that Todd McShay or any of the pundits believe is a starting caliber player. And hey, they need that spot filled. So let's get our crayon out. Let's take our Cracker Barrel, connecting the dots, and make the little puppy.
Love those.
In the
Love
Cardinals. Those. Yeah, you'll finish. It's the tail, and you're connecting it. Cardinals, Jahdae Campbell, off-ball linebacker. Where I think you'd be hard pressed to find Monti Ossenfort being swayed on that. Like if you ask Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rollis, like, hey, how would you like to add Jahdae Campbell to your defense? And think about him, the prospect of him healthy. They're probably like, hell yeah, but Monti Ossenfort's like, okay, well, he's an off-ball linebacker. It's not the position that we value, premium pick. And then Gannon's like, yeah, you're right. I can also take an undrafted free agent out of Wisconsin and turn him into one of the top linebackers in the league like I did with TJ Edwards. I can take a converted safety because you're white. We can sign him, to an NFL contract relative to peanuts, and he'll be our starting linebacker for 2 years.
Quickly, let's look at all the many first-round off-ball linebackers just crushing it in the league. Pull up this graphic here. Oh, yeah, just things are going great here for first-round off-ball linebackers, crushing it. Oh, man, Kenneth Murray, Patrick Queen, Jamon Davis. Oh, he's been cut. Zaven Collins, Devin Lloyd, Jack Campbell, crushing it, man. Keep it coming. Just get that. It's like the all-you-can-eat buffet at Gila tomorrow at our draft party. Just keep loading up your plate, baby, with off-ball linebackers.
It's it's the post-buffet acoustics. That's right, in the restroom that you put on full display.
Oh, excuse me. I had to look at the Cardinals off-ball linebackers since 2013. Excuse me. I had to get that out. Get that garbage out of here, please. Can we stop? The team that had a converted safety, undrafted guys, they're going to make the 16th overall pick an off-ball linebacker who's hurt. And the ceiling is, this guy might be okay. Kind right. Okay. Sorry. I had to get that out of me. Got a little phlegm.
I didn't know how you felt about the pick. Still kind of confused, but apparently you don't like it. You don't like off-ball linebacker. Okay. All right.
And then lastly, our dear friend of the program, Benjamin Allbright, which I have a love-hate with this pick. It's not the least egregious one I saw today. Good hell, we've covered those. How about Benjamin Allbright here, his mock draft? Cardinals going Josh Simmons, who, by the way, could be cleared before training camp, according to Ian Rappaport. He's been squatting 225. He's been running around, which good for him, but not good for us. I don't like that the Cardinals are passing on Walter Nolan for Josh Simmons. That's a smidge egregious, Benjamin. But here's what I'll say, and we're going to get to this later. Like Josh Simmons in play, feel like, I had him in my mock in a trade-up scenario. That is something that I feel like, we talked about it ad nauseum. If we end tomorrow night and he's a Cardinal, like nobody should be surprised.
No, and look, this is somebody that they had the most intel on, potentially of all the draft prospects. I mean, Josh Simmons is position coach. Justin Fry moved from the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes to Jonathan Gannon's coaching staff to replace Clayton Adams. Is very familiar with Simmons and a lot of all the Buckeye offensive line class coming in. And if he gets a clean bill of health and he's got experience on the right side, as we Pearce Jr. basically confirmed yesterday, he's not moving from left tackle. You have a chance to book in your tackle position for the foreseeable future. That's you can't argue with that. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, actually, like you could have, really benefited from taking this, but I'm not going to put up a big stink about it. Then it's going to come down to, can Simmons get himself in a position to play? And then can he win a position battle against, whether it's Jonah Williams, Calvin Beachum, or whatever it may be. That becomes one of the more intriguing stories of training camp. But you can sway me on that. I mean, from our guy Fran Duffy saying that if this guy doesn't suffer this injury, he's firmly a top 10 pick. He's in the conversation with Membu, probably is tackle 2. I'll take that.
We got so much to cover today.
Yeah.
We got Fran right around the corner.
Do we want to jump into do we want to take a trip to somewhere in the Cards multiverse where we can see a pick? Like I'll do whatever the Doctor Strange's thing. I'll open up a what do you call it? Portal?
Yeah. Careful. Yeah. I don't want you getting out of your depth here.
There we go. And I got it. I'm Doctor Strange, and you're his sidekick.
No, I'm not Wong. No, I get to be. I'm Spider-Man in this situation. I'm Peter Parker. You can be Doctor Strange. No,
who's Noah then? Noah's more of a Peter Parker. He's a young, youthful.
Come on.
Guy. Yeah, I'll take
okay. Yeah, I'll be like maybe like a Green Goblin.
Who's the redheaded chick? Who's the bald chick in the Doctor Strange thing?
All right, let's continue your multiverse exercise.
All right. So we're gonna take a trip to the multiverse,
okay,
and then we're gonna come back and we'll react to the pick. You ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, come on, bring it. I can take it. I'm a big boy. With the 16th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Michigan defensive tackle Kenneth Grant.
When did you film these?
Roger Goodell looks great.
This is why does Roger have super red hair? Kenneth Grant, you get a big thumbs up from your boy. I know people question his ceiling. How high can you take a nose tackle? Dare I say a very safe selection. I like the pick a lot. Great job, Roger Goodell, Monti Ossenfort. I think that's a little chalk for your boy.
Yeah. That's a multiverse that I can live with.
Yeah.
I feel confident coming back from that the Cardinals improved their defensive line. I think that they put the finishing touches on what the mission was this offseason to kind of revamp that front seven. Kenneth Grant absolutely gives you the ability to do that. I would have no bones to pick with that at 16th overall. But I mean, Goodell looks great. I mean, I think he looks fantastic.
These videos. I can't wait to see the next. Who else do we have here in the multiverse?
We'll have to see it. You never know when you open up the old multiverse.
It looks like Marvel graphics, Marvel CGI. That's what I'm saying.
It's just like Marvel, where you got the lead playing multiple roles now, like the hero.
Give me the next one. Let's hear.
You want the next one already? Okay,
yeah, give it to me.
All right, let's see it. The NFL. With the 16th pick in the NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select defensive end out of Texas A&M, Shamar Stewart.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
It's like when you stub your toe and you're like, that hurts. But then the pain goes away.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of say, you know what? Let's turn on his combine. Let's watch him run around in the skivvies doing his 40. So don't look at his tape. Don't look at the box score. I'm lukewarm on that, but I'm going to tell you right now, Shamar Stewart is a palate cleanser from some of the trash ass picks I saw mocked to this team today. Shamar Stewart's like a lifeboat for your boy getting off the Titanic. That's what he is.
You've sent out the flare, and there's Shamar Stewart. He's grabbing you out of the water, and he's like, look, there could be some potential in me. Just believe in Gannon and Nick Rollis. Like, I know, like, can he buck the horrible trends of his collegiate statistics and lack of production? That's about one of the biggest question marks of the entire draft class. I mean, I know there's not off the field stuff. Shamar Stewart would have a huge uphill climb. A lot of people want to point to like Daniil Hunter, who had a similar production in college, but that's the exception. It's very hard to do. It's just like a quarterback. It's like, oh, he's got a great raw skill set. He could be the next Josh Allen. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of doors you have to unlock in order to make that happen. So, not your best pick, but yeah, that's an interesting portal open there in the multiverse. So,
all right, let's holster your next one here.
Yeah.
We got Fran Duffy around the corner. We got so much stuff. Our big five. We got Fran Duffy. We got super chats. We got draft talk. Our predictions. Everything and anything. It's PHNX Cardinals. So fired up for today's show and Manana. We're big. Thank you goes out to our friends at Circle K who've been sponsoring us throughout the duration of draft season. We talk about it every day, but if you haven't signed up to be a member of the Inner Circle yet, download the Circle K app today. What are you waiting for? You like saving money? There's Circle Ks right around the block, seemingly everywhere, and they can save you up to 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents per gallon every single day. Plenty of other member-exclusive deals and discounts. Again, snacks, gas, drinks, Polar Pops, Frosters, 79 cents. That's because thirst has met its match. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Love that. Going to load up on some Circle K snacks on my way to the event tomorrow in Gila River. Selling your home shouldn't feel like a last-second Hail Mary. No, it shouldn't. You need a guaranteed win, and it's exactly what Carol Royce offers as far as selling your home. Carol Royce, your home sold, guaranteed realty, the name in the Valley homeowners trust. With over 12,000 homes sold across Arizona, Carol Royce team consistently delivers fast sales and more money than the average agent. That's all you could ask for, really. More agents make big promises, while Carol makes it with written guarantees before you sign anything. And get this, Carol will guarantee your sale of your home for 100% of market value. She's going to pay the difference. Thinking about a cash offer? Don't just settle for one. Get multiple offers with Carol, up to 6, and at least one will be 100% of that market value, or she's paying the difference, as we mentioned, when it's time to sell your home. Make the smart play. Call Carol today, or just to get some insight as far as this crazy housing market, 480-776-5231. That's 480-776-5231, or visit her online, carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Big thanks to everybody in the chat. Drop a like on this video. We got 450 people watching live. I feel like now is as good a time as ever to let everybody know, like, my intentions ahead of tomorrow's draft party here on this show. And I'm going to let Bo decide whether or not we talk about life raft. You might decide to get a life raft between now and tomorrow. I'm standing pat. Can we take a look at the graphic, the iceberg graphic, if we could, Noah? We got a lot of graphics on deck today. That is me. I am CC commander of the USS Cardinals draft. And there is iceberg Tyler Booker, and I'm going down with this ship. I am not going to predict that the Cardinals are going to draft a non-premium position, 16th overall, with a horror show of an RAS score. Okay? You will not hear us dive into the narratives that you're hearing locally, maybe a little bit nationally. And again, everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
I am not of the camp that I do not believe this team's going to draft Tyler Booker, and I'm going down with this ship, as you saw in that graphic.
What a nightmare of a graphic that is. Can we
one
see
more time? Let's hear it one more time.
There's Captain Johnny, and then the old giant iceberg that is Tyler Booker. He will not jump on it for safety. No matter, he's going down with the ship, with the band. My Heart Will Go On will be playing in the background, but not like the good Celine Dion version, not the award-winning song, but the recorder version as you sink to the bottom of the ocean.
That's me, Edward Smith, the captain of the Titanic, and I'm just they said, we got your lifeboat. You can go. They said, we got a spot for you. We're going to push a couple kids aside. And he said, no, I'm sticking with this ship. And that's me. I'm just not, I can't, we got to stick to our morals here. And you're going to see that later in the Big Five. But we're sticking with our guy, Fran Duffy, throughout the course of draft season. He joins us now. Fran, how do you feel, Mr. Franchise Mode, All-City NFL Draft Analyst, on the heels of the biggest night of the year for our boy? How do you feel about my take on Tyler Booker?
I mean, I click on the link to join the show, and the first thing I see is that graphic. What did I walk into today? Look, I think Tyler Booker's a great player. He's one of my favorite players in the draft. He's not their profile. He's not their, like, I think when you look at the way Monti Ossenfort has drafted, he typically trends more towards primary positions, the tackle, wide receiver, corner, pass rush. So I think a guard would surprise me. I do think that if you're going to make an exception, you're going for a player that is A, dominant at his position, and B, has all the off-field characteristics that Tyler Booker brings to the table. And he is like alpha dog, culture setter, like that kind of personality, which I think that would play well with the Cardinals front office and with Jonathan Gannon. Now, is that enough to take him over some of these other guys that could be available? My feeling on that is no. So it would be surprising for me in that way. But to me, that doesn't really fit the MO of Monti Ossenfort.
Real quick, Bo, I want to bring this up because I think it's just too egregious not to discuss. So the Cardinals love RAS, Fran. They drafted Tip Ryman on it alone. Every pick that they've done early has been an RAS darling. This is Tyler Booker's RAS score, which ranked almost 1,100 out of 1,700 guards since 1987. So you're telling me this team, by the way, who didn't use a top 30 visit on him, who does not check any of the extra measurables that you project to be an elite player. I think the only one I saw of like the last 20 years that exceeded their RAS, which was bad, was like Larry Wolford, who's a third rounder for the Detroit Lions. And then, by the way, he didn't take a top 30 visit. Like you just put all this. Again, some team's going to take him and they're going to love him. I want to sit here and be transparent with our audience. Like, what? There's nothing to signal outside of, they could use a guard, why this would be the pick.
Yeah, and honestly, like these are things that I track right from year to year. I was asked today on another show, what are you going to do after the draft's over? One of the things I do is I go through all right, pick by pick. I watch every single post-draft press conference from every team, right, and just kind of take notes off of that, and I'm taking all this information for later down the road, and then also kind of taking notes. Who are the players that each team selects, and try and find the trends that pop up. You talk about athleticism, RAS score. I mentioned the primary positions thing earlier. The Cardinals under Ossenfort, they draft the highest rate of plus athletes, the highest rate of primary position players in the league. It's not just, every team wants to do that. I mean, contextually compared to everybody else, the Cardinals do it at a very, very high rate. So it would be out of character. That said, teams do make out of character selections. That does happen. But it would be surprising for me in that way.
It would be shocking, right? I mean, I love that, by the way. Just some insight to how truly sick our guy, Fran Duffy, is. Just combing through post-draft press conferences, listening to general managers, their AGMs, Dave Sears, Monti Ossenfort talk about what went into the picks, and that's why he's the best around. What would be, maybe if you're just playing devil's advocate, and you gave us some insight on that, but what could separate and make Tyler Booker, or can you not make the case for him to be the exception to the Cardinals rules?
Yeah, I would go first off, the character culture setter type of aspect, that aspect of things. But then also just the fact that he is a purely dominant player. I mean, if you are going to say, who is going to be one of the best players at his position in the NFL, I would put Booker in that conversation in this class. And I think when you have that kind of conversation, I think that is something that certainly can tip the scales in a player's favor. I'm just kind of looking over. I mean, I go back to something that Jonathan Gannon has always leaned on, very first press conference, adaptable, violent, explosive, smart. And I look at a few of those aspects of Tyler Booker, and he checks basically all those boxes. Now, they talk a lot about versatility. He's a guard only. He's played both guard spots, but he's a guard only. He's not, but that matters less if you're going to be a starter in the NFL. Again, I look around the board, and to me, it's more reasons to say no than to say yes to Tyler Booker. But the one thing I always say, like I do all this tracking, I try and find all these trends. They are trends until they're not. John Schneider, like, oh, the Seahawks, they never draft corners early. They never draft corners early until they take Devin Witherspoon fifth overall, right? It's Howie Roseman never pays running backs. He never pays linebackers. 12 months later, he gave Saquon Barkley and Zach Bond richest contracts at the position in the league, right? So, I think that all these things are trends until they're not. But again, that's why it would make that Tyler Booker selection a surprise.
All right. So moving on from that, it's been a difficult couple of weeks. I wasn't on with you last week, which was sad. It was sad for me. Equally sad today.
Oh, we didn't notice.
Yeah. Smart ass.
Is this going to be a Saturday question already? Right?
No, we're not getting to that. Although Garofalo was on our show yesterday, said he could go second round. So there's a lot of people who might be eating crow on this podcast if that were to happen. All right. Let's
eat 10%, Johnny.
I'm mainly talking about you and Bo, friend. All right. So let's talk about, we got bust each other's chops. Let's talk about what's changed for you with this top 10 to 12 and where do you see this right now? Because we've been saying it for like 3 months. I would love to live in a delusional fantasy land where running backs and tight ends were going in the top 10, but we've been consistent. Like the closer we get to this, hey, Mykel Williams could be a top 10 pick. Hey, 3 offensive tackles could go top 12. Are we going to get to a point here, New Orleans, the Jets, the Panthers, Cowboys, Niners, like the line of scrimmage players are going to go early like we initially thought?
I think that yes and no. I actually do think that, look, I've got the bones of my final mock draft pretty much set, especially in the top 10, top 12. I feel pretty good about where most of those selections lie. Ashton Genty is going to go in the top 7. I think Tyler Warren is going to go in that top, that top 9, top 10. So there's going to be a running back in there. There's going to be a tight end in there. The question now becomes like, which of those linemen are there? Do make that appearance. I tend to agree with you. I think Mykel Williams ends up in that spot. Offensive lineman wise, there's been a lot of buzz for Kelvin Banks Jr., the left tackle from Texas. Is he going to make it up into that spot? But the thing is if those guys get pushed in, and I still feel good about Genty going high, and I still feel good about Warren going high, then somebody's got to fall out. And so the 2 guys right now that I've got my spidey senses tingling in terms of them falling out of that area of the draft. Number 1 is Jalen Walker, the pass rusher, linebacker, whatever you want to call him, from Georgia, and then Mason Graham from Michigan. Those are the 2 that I think are going a little bit later than maybe where a lot of the consensus had him over the majority of this offseason. I do think there's look, people are leaving the door open for Jalen Walker to go number 4 to New England still. So that's, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, he's dropping like a rock, but it's becoming clear that I think there are more realities present now where Jalen Walker falls out of the top 10. Now, I kind of view Arizona as the floor there. I think that JG would jump at the opportunity to get Jonathan or to get Jalen Walker into the building. So I don't think that he would fall too far. Mason Graham, I don't think that he would fall too far either. And so these guys aren't going to sink, but it's going to be fun tomorrow night to watch that unfold.
Cardinals fans for so long, and I think it was just because of who was the GM and who was the head coach, would use Peter Schrager as kind of their guiding light with his mock draft. And he's fallen off a little bit. His most recent mock draft had the Cardinals selecting 16th overall Jahdae Barron, who, as far as our talking points on him was, sure, he was versatile. He plays a little violent. I think that his size is interesting, but as far as just scheme fit, it seems like he would be probably viewed as a nickel. And Garrett Williams plays at a very high level for the Cardinals. What's your viewpoint on Jahdae Barron and the Cardinals?
I think I said it last week when you and I talked about, but Johnny wasn't here. I don't know if he heard it, but I had a higher grade on Garrett Williams coming out at Syracuse than I do right now on Jahdae Barron. And I know I'm low on Jahdae Barron compared to consensus, but to me, I would see that those 2 players are too similar. I think if you want to say, hey, you know what, let's go get Will Johnson. You can make the argument there. Obviously they just spent a 2nd-round pick on Max Melton. You feel better about that secondary overall. But if you want to get an outside corner, I think that makes sense. But to draft Jahdae Barron there, to draft over top of Garrett Williams, that would be surprising for me.
There was a report today. Josh Simmons is already running a little bit, 225. He's repping on the squat rack, which doesn't seem like a lot for an offensive tackle, but there's a chance he could be cleared before training camp. Is it a reach, in your opinion, given his injury, which we've outlined is significant, to take him 16th overall? Or, I mean, we had Garofolo on yesterday. He thinks Josh Connolly Jr. could go top 12 to 14. So, we see it every year. Tackles go high. Everybody needs multiple. Is Josh Simmons a reach at 16 given his injury?
Yeah, I don't think it's a reach just because of the talent. If he had stayed healthy, this is a guy that's going in the top 10 in this draft. That's going in the top 12 of this draft. And so I think that if you're looking based solely off the tape, yes, it's a smaller sample size from this year. But I think taking him at 16 in this class with it where there's that dearth of talent, I think it would make sense to select him that high. We know about the connection there with Justin Fry, the offensive line coach. The big thing that I think a lot of people view when a team hires a college coach and it's like, he coached this player, that's automatic. He wants to bring him in. And I'm not saying that this is the case, but I just want to caution, some people that might feel strongly this way. It's not necessarily, they hired this coach, so therefore they will definitely want to draft this player. It's just that they have better information than everybody else because this guy coached, this guy was with him every single day. So let's say, your former boss, you have a boss who gets hired a new job. Well, if that boss didn't like you, he's not going to go out of his way to draft you, right? And so, I think that's. I'm not saying that's the case, but what I'm saying is that just because of that connection, I wouldn't say like, A to B, Josh Simmons makes sense to the Arizona Cardinals. I will say, talent-wise, he would absolutely warrant that selection.
Albert Beer did a very thorough article about some medical flags that came up on some key prospects. Will Johnson was one of those with the knee. It's a long-term concern with Will Johnson. Obviously, Jihad Campbell's on that. He had the shoulder surgery, and then not within Burrill's article, but there was some noise about Derek Harmon. Yep. Garofolo said that there's a shoulder concern there, despite being very healthy throughout his collegiate career. How are you kind of approaching these medical flags in how you're putting together your final mock?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, I think, and these are the things where there's the medical side of it, and then there's the off-field side of it. When it comes to a player like Mike Green, who again he has handled that head on, like he talked about it extensively at his combine press conference. So I'm not speaking out of school here. With the accusations that have been thrown his way, like it's tough to find a home for him in a mock draft. And it's the same thing when you're looking at these medical situations that we are now public to, but the teams have been aware of these now for months. It's the matter of trying to find, where is the right spot for this guy to fall to. And honestly, there are teams that are more comfortable than others. There are some teams that are very conservative. The Arizona Cardinals, they have been okay with taking some medical risks. That we have seen them in the past where they've actually, when I look at who are the super clean medical guys, and then who are some of the guys that maybe like it's a yellow or a red, meaning like, this is a huge red flag. They've taken one of the lowest numbers of green players, from a medical standpoint in the league under Monti Ossenfort. I mean, Mykel Wilson, he was a medical red flag. You look at, I'm trying to think back. I mean, you had obviously Garrett Williams. Williams was coming off the ACL. Elijah Jones, he had some medical stuff in his background. Trey Benson had some stuff in his background. Xavier Thomas from Clemson, he had a long career there. He had some medical stuff in his background. Kytrell Clark coming out of Louisville, he had some medical stuff. Darius Robinson. So a lot of these guys had that medical history or had some concern for their long-term viability. Maybe they were viewed as one contract players. And so I think that the Arizona Cardinals, they might be okay, and when you're looking at a player, like the Oregon defensive tackle, Derek Harmon, where, like, I don't know about the shoulder. Some teams are, about the knee there. What does that mean? Monti Ossenfort might feel okay. Whereas another team might say, like that now he's losing a tiebreaker against a Walter Nolan or against, a Kenneth Grant. So that's where those things come into play.
In the continuation of horror show mock drafts here on the final day, Daniel Jeremiah has Egbuka going to the Arizona Cardinals 16th overall, which I do not think will happen. But there does appear to be some momentum, at least, with wide receivers reinserting themselves in this conversation, whether it be Dallas, Miami, some of these teams within the top 20, certainly with T-Mac and Matthew Golden. You mentioned Will Johnson, Derek Harmon, some of these guys with injury concerns. Could you see a kind of a renaissance with wide receiver maybe earlier where things come full circle for somebody like T-Mac, for instance?
I think it's going to be a lower number of receivers. That's my gut on it. I think that, and look, the NFL draft is all about runs, right? When you get into the first round, second round, you start to see like, okay, where is the tight end run going to happen? Last year, no defensive players went off the board until the middle of the round, and then you saw like corner, right? Right at the end of round one into the early stages of round two. And so when I'm looking at receiver. All right, so if we think, obviously, Travis Hunter, he goes number 2 to the Cleveland Browns. When does Tetairoa McMillan go? Does he go at 12? Does he go before that? If he goes at 12, then that run, I think, starts a little bit later. If he goes, say, number 9, if he goes number 8 to Carolina, if he goes to some of these other teams where I've heard there's some rumblings there where Tetairoa McMillan could sneak into the top 12. Now, does that mean Matthew Golden automatically goes number 12 to the Dallas Cowboys? Some people feel that way. So, yeah, they're taking a receiver, hell or high water. Well, now that means that ups the urgency for a team that wants to get Egbuka, all right? And if you want to get one of these other guys, now Luther Burden gets slid up the totem pole a little bit. So I think it will depend on some of these other guys going off the board early. I still think at the end of the day that you're more likely to see a run on tackle. You're more likely to see a run on defensive line. You're more likely to see a run on some of those other positions. I think quarterback gets bumped down. I think receiver gets bumped down just because of the nature of the talent in this class.
Not utilizing, Monti Ossenfort's track record, who would Fran Duffy take 16th overall for the Cardinals? What would be your best fit for this team?
So if it were me, I'm just really quickly looking at my board real quick, just so I can give you the best answer, Bo. If it were me, the guy that I would just love to be able to add. I mean, if we're talking receiver, like I'm very big into Luther Burden III from Missouri. He would give them an element that they don't really currently have, where you get that kind of game breaker in that way. So, but if we're talking who are the players that fit at a position of need, I'm bigger in Mykel Williams than most of the edge rushers in this class. Like, I like him more than Shamar Stewart. I like him more than Ezeraku. I like him more than a lot of those guys there. I'm higher on Walter Nolan overall. I've got a higher grade on him. So if Walter Nolan were available, he would be a guy that I would be signing up for. So looking across the sheet, I mean, those would probably be the guys that this is why I've always struggled, Bo, with like, where do I go with them in a mock draft? Because I can excuse away a number of these other guys. I think at the end of the day, they try and make a move up or down. That's going to be very interesting. But if it were me, Walter Nolan would be the guy that I think is that sweet spot there.
They're in a tough spot where they're maybe like just outside where some of these guys are going to be, but then some of the guys that we like, that we think they like with their top 30 visits, is 16 just a little too rich for some of these players, like a James Pearce, Derek Harmon, whatever. We'll get you out of here on this. Think you know where I'm going, Fran. Mike Garofalo said yesterday he could see a small chance of Skattebo going in the second round, but he does think he goes in the third round. This is your chance. This is your floor. Final prediction here. Cam Skattebo, where you think he's drafted, and then just give me a team. Give me a team where you're like, that would make a ton of sense. And then we'll circle back on Friday when you join our show to see it come to fruition potentially.
So this is why Mike is a pro's pro, because he's playing to his audience. He knows how to play to his host and understand, like, these are the things that I need to say in order for them to bring me back next week. He is smarter than me. I think it's more likely that Cam ends up on Saturday. That would be my guess as we sit here today. But I think it'll be early on Saturday. Did you catch where I had him in the 7-round mock, Johnny?
I did not. No. Is it going to hurt my feelings when I find it? Do I need a magnifying glass to find it?
You might be upset not necessarily by the slot. It was early 4th round. I think late, maybe midway through the 4th round. Joining your old friend Cliff Kingsbury out here on the East Coast with Washington.
Yeah, Cardinals passing on Skattebo in the 4th round would be a nightmare. I don't want to live. It'd be like the nightmare would be Tyler Booker, and then waking up in a cold sweat, and then there's Cam Skattebo driving past, Cliff Kingsbury, and they're hanging out at his place here in Phoenix, and yeah, just a couple ex-Phoenix guys. That would be sad.
Yeah, Frank, real quick, the misdirection going on this time of year. I mean, we're seeing now, Egbuka, Daniel Jeremiah has his connections, right? And we've seen, wide receiver now mocked to this team consistently. We're hearing Tyler Booker, even though you're not doing the calculus doesn't add up, right? I mean, how much misdirection's going on as far as from the teams to that it's being put out there to try to take other teams off their scent.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly happens. Here's what I'll say. I'm just looking at my notes really quick. Daniel Jeremiah correctly mocked them Paris Johnson in his final mock draft in 2023. He correctly mocked them Darius Robinson. He was actually the first person to give them Darius Robinson with the 27th pick last year. And he was correct because there was all the discussion about, are they going to trade down? Are they going to stick and pick? Are they going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. last year? And he was pretty adamant throughout the lead up to the draft. No, the Cardinals are going to stick and pick. So he's been pretty good at pegging the Cardinals. Now, what is that? Does that mean that they're definitely going to take Igbokwe? I'm not going to sit here and say that, but his track record with Arizona has been pretty strong under this regime. That said, yes, teams are definitely, trying to float smoke out there. And it's interesting. I was talking with somebody else about this a little before I came on. I've been hearing so much lately about Kelvin Banks. Kelvin Banks, you talk about 5, Jacksonville, 6 with the Raiders, 7 with the Jets, 9 with the Saints, 10 with the Bears. And you go right down the list and everybody's like, yep, Kelvin Banks Jr. Keep in mind, Kelvin Banks Jr. They like Kelvin Banks Jr. more than Armand Membu. I have heard that like 5 times in the last 48 hours with 5 different teams. The same way, like this team X likes Kelvin Banks more than they like Armand Membu. And I'm like, like, why am I hearing that exact same thing about 5 different teams in the last 3 days of the draft? Like, I don't know if that's smoke for Membu. I don't know if that's smoke for Banks. I don't know. Who knows? But it's one of those things. It's just, it's another year. We know we're getting close to the draft when the rumors are flying in both ways.
He's not blowing any smoke. He's our NFL draft analyst insider, Fran Duffy. Check out his work, his draft guide, Unparalleled, allcity.com, gophnx.com. And, of course, he's going to join us throughout the duration of draft weekend beginning mañana, tomorrow. I think we're going to chat with Fran either before or shortly after the pick. Excited about that, Fran Duffy. Thank you so much for all your hard work. We break each other's chops here on the show, but you've been a phenomenal asset to our team this year. Can't wait to have all your hard work culminate over the next 3 days, my friend.
Thanks, guys. No, I appreciate it. I'm excited. I'll be jumping on with you tomorrow night. We'll talk through. We'll see what the Cardinals do. If it's Tyler Booker, I'll send you maybe a door to lay on. Just make some room for Tyler Booker there.
Maybe an edible arrangement, something like that. I'll give you my location. But thanks so much, Fran. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.
We've got our Big 5 right around the corner. You will not want to miss it. Plus, we analyze Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, his final mock, which is just a complete hot mess in so many different ways. We're breaking it down as PHNX Cardinals. But first, again, big plug tomorrow night. We're at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. But first, Bo is going to tell us about our friends at Cornbread Hemp.
Yeah, not so fast, my friend. Looking for a better night's sleep with a more natural way to unwind after a long day? Check out our friends over at Cornbread Hemp, America's first USDA organic CBD company. Recently tried their full spectrum CBD gummies, and let me tell you, these are not your average CBD treats. The flavor was super clean, not overly sweet, not artificial at all. And what really stood out is how good I felt, how chill it felt, not feeling groggy. Instead, eased me into a better headspace. Perfect for winding down. Try it for yourself. What makes cornbread different? They only use flour. Never the stems, never the leaves. You're getting the purest stuff. It's USDA certified organic, vegan, gluten-free, third-party lab tested for quality. Plus, free shipping. Can't beat that. 30-day better life guarantee. It's all a win with Cornbread Hemp. If you're not sure where to start, take a 2-minute survey, and they're going to get you their personalized recommendations. PHNX listeners are getting an exclusive deal, 30% off your first order. Just go to cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX. Use the code PHNX at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX. The code PHNX. This is the good life.
How about some good stuff from our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass? So our draft party is tomorrow, okay? You can get your tickets now. We are giving out 2 tickets for free. You got to stick around throughout the duration of the show to find out. But again, tomorrow is the draft party, Thursday, April 24th, 5 p.m., Upper Deck Kitchen and Bar. Again, we're going to be there earlier. Stop by. All you can eat, 3-drink tickets. Again, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, grab them now. But we are giving away 2 tickets, a pair, by the end of the show. So if you haven't bought them yet and you're like, I've been holding off, you could have a chance to win. But if you've got a big party, if you want to insure your tickets, grab them now. We've got limited space yet available. We appreciate everybody. And again, We appreciate our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Play at Gila.com. They've got so much good stuff. I can't wait to dabble. Largest sportsbook casino in Arizona tomorrow. So you're putting in those last-minute props. You're putting in those last-minute picks. Do it with our friends at Gila at Wild Horse Pass. We're fired up about that. And I'm going to tell you something else. We're fired up about the newest partnership, not only with PHNX Sports, Bo, but with All City. We've got some big and little news to share. All City, including us here at PHNX, we're teaming up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America for an exciting new 3-year partnership, right? It's not just about sports. It's about community, and together we're combing Big Brother, Big Sisters, incredible youth mentor program with passion and power of All City's local sports coverage. Again, this is super meaningful. We've had a chance to have Bo Kelvin Beacham on our show to talk about his relationship with Big Brother, Big Sister, what it's meant to him. And I'm sure so many people out in the chat, let us know in the chat. The partnership kicks off this week during our NFL draft coverage, but it doesn't stop there. We'll be working year-round to support Big Brother, Big Sisters through fundraising, content events, and even opportunities for our team. And maybe some of you want to get directly involved, contact us, contact them. We're excited to support youth mentorship that really makes a difference. You can learn about how you can get more involved at bbs.org/allcity. That's bbbs.org/allcity, Bo.
We're so pumped. Obviously, we're entrenching ourselves within the sports community here now. We just want to entrench ourselves within the community of our great state and partner up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters across the country as well. So it's unbelievable. It's a great opportunity for us to connect with them, and you can connect. You can become a big. You can donate, however you want to help. Any of that, it's appreciated.
Well, great stuff from Fran Duffy. I'd be remiss if we didn't touch on this before. Our Big Five here. We got a bunch of super chats. I'm just going to run through this real quick because I know I've made Noah make too many graphics today. Daniel Jeremiah's final mock draft is just a nightmare world. There's Jahdae Barron's 29th to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
No Mike Green in the first round. Okay. No Will Johnson in the first round. No Simmons, Josh Simmons in the first round. No Walter Nolan in the first round. No James Pearce Jr. in the first round. Jalen Walker falls to 15th to the Atlanta Falcons. He's got Shamar Stewart going to the Colts, Gray Zabel going to the 49ers, Egbuka going to the Cardinals. You know, the top 10 is relatively what you would expect. But again, no Mike Green, Will Johnson, Walter Nolan, James Pearce Jr., or Josh Simmons. Cardinals go wide receiver, Egbuka from Ohio State, played with Marv.
Which wide receiver would he be in the draft? Would that be the third off the board?
That would be the first. He is ahead of Matthew Golden, who goes to Tampa. T-Mac goes to Dallas, so he would be wide receiver 2. Tyler Booker, by the way, goes to Houston at 25, that's where he should go. Derek Harmon, 24, to the Minnesota Vikings. Kenneth Grant, 27. Donovan Jackson, 28. Trey Amos to the Buffalo Bills. Connor Lee Jr. goes to Kansas City. Jahad Campbell barely sneaks into the first round to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think right now we're living in a reality where outside of, I'll throw some names at you, the who's who, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, Ashton Genty, Banks Jr., Membu. If you're not one of those guys, this is all over the map. It's a fun year, but it's an unpredictable year.
Yeah. And look, of all the draft experts outside of Fran Duffy, Daniel Jeremiah gets the most of my respect, but this just seems to be a really out there draft.
Yeah.
In trying to maybe not outsmart the room. He is the smartest guy in the room, usually when it comes to draft analysis, but to slide that many people down, and he's not just basing it off of his own opinion and what he's formed as far as these prospects go. It's based off of conversations with teams and such, but just to have a mass exodus of people we thought to be first rounders, push them all the way down. It doesn't seem like that's going to come closer to reality than what we should see tomorrow.
If you're joining us now with one of our many streaming partners, jump on over to gophnx.com. We are unveiling our final Big Five of draft season. All of your super chats. It's overtime here, OT, on PHNX Cardinals. Yep, that's right. Overtime, the conversation continues. Drop a like. Every show, we're shooting for 500 plus likes here on our pre-draft Eve show. Tomorrow is the big dance. Bo and I have put out what we call a Big Five for the better part of 2 months here on the show. And for a while, it didn't change, right? And then I do feel like, unfortunately, because of injury, there has been significant movement with it. This last one. And that was not our expectation, right? And so we were swapping out the final spot maybe 3 or 4 times today. But we came to a consensus. We feel good about these 5 players. Let's go ahead and unveil them now, Brack.
Let me say this. There we go. Okay. There's a sense of don't worry, no, we're good. There's a sense of holding the line, and that we were trying to find where it was going to be. We're holding the line. Johnny, as he said, he's not jumping on the iceberg. Tyler Booker, like I think that's where we hold the line, and we look at these prospects, and you're going to see 4 of the 5 are defensive players, front 7 players. We still believe that is where the Cardinals want to kind of finish the job, the rebuild of the defensive front 7, with the exception being Josh Simmons. And Fran Duffy outlined why that would be, why he makes a whole lot of sense at 16. So Mykel Williams, as Fran said, like there is an off chance he could slide down, despite what Schrager's saying earlier this week with his tweet saying he thinks he could be one of the hot risers in this draft. We've got 2 guys here that Jeremiah is not even putting in the first round. Am I correct?
Yeah, Walter Nolan and James Pearce Jr. and Josh Simmons. Walter Nolan is not in the first round, according to Daniel Jeremiah. So you would really have to come to grips with the fact that like Pierce and Walter Nolan have just horrendous off the field concerns, which we haven't known yet. But I mean, like I think you and I are pretty staunch fast in our opinion. Like Mykel Williams and Walter Nolan are undivided selections, focus, etc. 100% if they're there at 16. Like those are top 2 players in this draft. And I want to put an asterisk on this. I know Kelvin Banks Jr. took a top 30 visit, right? Do I think they would consider Kelvin Banks Jr. if he fell at this point? Sure. I don't think you and I expect him to be there. So we initially were going to take off Mykel Williams. We swapped it with Kelvin Banks Jr., who's got a rocket strapped to his back right now. So this is not shade at Kelvin Banks Jr., but I think Josh Simmons right now, based on everything, is the more realistic target for the Cardinals at tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to really kind of narrow the criteria there for what the remaining prospects. Who's going to be off the board? You're going to be looking at tackle 4 in this class, but there's a sense of familiarity there. Like I said, the criteria would be tight, but the Cardinals would find that little sliver that they could go and say, "Hey, we trust that this guy could be the 4th tackle off the board," but serve the role as our right tackle of the future going forward.
Let's get that list up one more time here, and we are going down with the ship with some of our guys that we've heard. Listen, the Cardinals, we're told, had a good visit with James Pearce Jr. Like that, nothing came up where like terrible person, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, he may just not be thought of amongst league circles as like a top 20 pick. And then you got Garofalo on our show yesterday saying some teams love him and he thinks he's going to go in the top 16. You can swap out Kenneth Grant for Walter Nolan if the Cardinals like Walter Nolan's medicals enough. But here's the deal. They're close enough in terms of evaluation. They both play in the Big Ten, which we know the Cardinals love the Big Ten. They don't like it. They love it. And Kenneth Grant, to me, is safer right now with his medicals. They both took a top 30 visit. They both would fit seamlessly. So again, we're picking nits here, but Walter Nolan, we're sliding him off. He's got a shoulder. Maybe that freaks them out. Kenneth Grant is the cleaner prospect right now. And then we've talked ad nauseum about Josh Simmons, who Benjamin Allbright has. I don't think you can take Josh Simmons at 16. But I think if you trade down and grab a third and want to take him, I think if you, as Josh Weinfuss pointed out in his report last week, take a player at 16, trade up and get Josh Simmons. What if Josh Simmons is there at the start of day 2? So we don't think it's going to be a corner early on. We outlined it earlier. Much more likely that that's a day 2 pick, given the guys they've worked out. I mean, just the wild card of the last 4 to 6 days has been this Tyler Booker kind of narrative that this show is not buying into based on the rationale of what Ossenfort and Gannon have done 3 years in.
Yeah. Criteria that they've had in place, the track record that they have, what they value as far as their prospects, how to utilize top 30. I know there's a lot of people that say, top 30 can be utilized this way, that way. It's not how the Cardinals roll. It's not smoke screen. They're not going to bring in James Pearce Jr., have him sit in a room and do some sort of evaluation of him. If they're going to utilize one of the tools in the draft process, I think that there is some interest there, as it's proven to be the 3 first-round picks that they have in the last 2 seasons. They've utilized the top 30 on them and had that experience play a big role in that. So all these guys, top 30 guys, all these guys, I think, respective, athletic freaks at their positions. And they check the most boxes. And then, especially when you look at the defensive front 7, where this organization set out to revamp this offseason, it would be the ultimate kind of finishing touch. Outside of if they go Nolan Grant, could they add an edge in day 2? That would be, I think the best path to getting this defense, 2025 season ready.
The game of football is won up front.
Mm-hmm.
It's the line of scrimmage game, and the Cardinals believe that. Wide receivers, corners, off-ball linebackers, get them out of here for a second. They have their place. We love Marv. So what are the most important positions that dictate the line of scrimmage? Defensive tackle, edge rusher, offensive tackle. And the Cardinals, where is Jonah Williams? Has anybody seen him? Is he around? Right? We haven't seen him since the Carolina. Is he really healthy? Yeah. The Tyler Booker thing, again, you can come back to the show tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. We have egg on our face, but we're going off of what this team has done and what they haven't done. And, we lived through the Tip Ryman pick, and there was one reason why Tip Ryman was drafted. A big reason. Yeah. He's a freak athletically, and the Cardinals like freaks. Tyler Booker, we just feel like has a very limited ceiling as an athlete at the NFL. And then you couple that with he does not play a premium position. I'll play devil's advocate for just a second with that. Unlike off-ball linebacker and safety, guards are getting paid now. So you can maybe see a world where it's like, oh, this guy could make $80 million. Robert Hunt made $100 million. So, but it's still not worth enough to entertain. I would much rather go Donovan Jackson, reunite him with Justin Fry, and get a pass rusher, defensive tackle.
Well, yeah. Also, if you look at the guys who are getting paid, how many of them were first-round picks to start with?
Great point.
So yeah, you guys are crushing in the chat. I love the debate, and that's what this is about, man. It's taken all the insight, information, hopefully we've gathered as well as possible throughout this process to where you can make an educated guess, because that's even from yourself there watching on your smartphone, one of our streaming services, wherever it may be, to Daniel Jeremiah, to people who get paid to do this. Your guess could be just as good as theirs as far as where the Arizona Cardinals are going to go with this pick. And in the board, it can really dictate where they're going to go. I still we're not going to put a wide receiver. I just don't get the sense that the Cardinals are going to do that. Are going to go wide receiver in the first round. Somebody was saying that it was when Benjamin Allbright joined me 2 weeks ago. He said, I expect him to take a wide receiver, just not high. And it just doesn't match what they want to do with their draft capital, a premium draft capital. So
let's jump into these super chats. You guys are crushing it. Drop a like.
Did you not want to do another multiverse thing? Are you over?
Oh, you got another one for me?
But let's do 2 here.
You got, oh wow, how many did you film?
All right, guys, take it easy. Take it easy.
With the 16th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select defensive back out of Michigan, Will Johnson.
Wow, that's the best that I think Goodell's looked in a suit before. Will Johnson, 16th overall. Looks like their medical staff, when they did the top 30, gave him the green light. If that's the case, it's the only way that works.
So I cheated. I thought I saw that on the video. It was labeled Will Howard.
Yeah,
I was worried that was the pick, and I was like, "Is he
that's gonna
changing?"
keep you honest. We don't want
Right.
you cheating.
That's right. Is he changing positions? So Will Johnson, like, if they can still get Will Johnson after their first pick, that's aces. That's where this draft, man, the first pick's going to maybe be controversial. That pick at 47, or if you're able to move up, you're potentially going to get a guy that we talked about at 16 for 2 months. So I love that. Hit me with another one. Let's go. Let's get another one here.
Yeah, let's throw it up.
Oh, f- all you. With the 16th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select defensive tackle out of Oregon, Derek Harmon.
Is he healthy? How's his shoulder? My shoulder's good enough to do this, bring the boom every day on this show. But I mean, there are just players you and I love in this draft that Cardinals seemingly love. They brought in Derek Harmon, man. Is there a smear campaign? Do people want him to fall? Because, we got a double source now with Garofalo and company, like the shoulder, but like he's never missed a game. He's never missed a game at Oregon. So give me some Derek Harmon. Hell yeah.
Yeah. One more, right?
Let's do it.
All right.
There's been a trade. The Arizona Cardinals have traded with the Miami Dolphins, and with the 13th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select linebacker out of University of Georgia, Mykel Williams.
I think we just get on our hands and knees and thank the football gods. We get down at Gila, we get down as a community, and we just thank the football gods that a great player fell to the Cardinals. So, I mean, very small chance, but I love to listen. This is the year. I know people disagree. You want to use the 3rd or 4th round pick that you have after having like 20 of them the last 2 years and go up and get a guy this year that you feel like is an alpha that can help you. Go do that. Don't give up your second. Don't give up any picks next year. Give up another pick and go jump one of these teams. If you feel like kid from Ole Miss that we talked about, Walter Noland or Mykel Williams, you love one of these. Go and get them. If Mason Graham is available at pick 9, you better jump San Francisco. Yeah. Go get him.
The value of the 13th overall pick, general vicinity, it's $11.50. Cardinals pick at 16 is $1,000. You've got 150 points you got to make up. That's not going to give up.
That's a 4th the next 2 years. A 4th and a 4th, or a 4th and a 5th. See ya. Do it. Do it. Some of these teams too. The Cardinals rebuild is over. You know whose rebuild is just beginning? New Orleans. That's a fresh hell I don't want any part of. They need all the picks they can get. I would love to jump San Francisco. Make him suck that. Pick Will or Mason Graham right in front of them. They think they're going to be gifted Mason Graham. Think again. Come on, Ossenfort. All right, let's jump into these super chats. You guys have been patient. Spencer Vance, $1.99, kicking us off. Gambo, Bo, your best friend Gambo, says Mykel, Nolan, Booker, Simmons, or Banks. Those must be the players that he likes. So to each their own. We're rolling with a couple of those guys. Not a fan of taking a guard 16th overall that has horrific testing numbers, but to each their own.
All right. Damon Cat, $1.99. Damon Cat isn't far off from Damon Wildcat isn't far off from Damon Cat. Meow.
Somewhere Damon Cat, our sweet baby Damon, is meowing just for you. So we appreciate
He
that.
would do that. He's a man that's built on principles.
Yeah, this is a grown-up show.
No, will you meow for Damon Cat?
Meow. Oh wow. He's got right in there and did it, getting his hands dirty. I like it.
Wait till Damon Dog hears about this.
It's been replaced.
You
Joey,
can throw hands in the producer room.
Joey, $1.99. Thoughts on Jared Wilson in the 3rd round of the NFL draft? Isn't he the center from Georgia, interior offensive lineman?
Yes.
He's got a better profile I've seen than Tate Rutledge in some aspects. So, I mean, he's a true center, though, and the Cardinals, I don't think, need that.
Yeah.
But if they think he can play guard, that's where they should take their interior offensive lineman, though. Joey, you get it. Take it at 78.
Jared Wilson, extremely athletic. I think he was like the most athletic interior offensive lineman in this draft. So could be on Monti Ossenfort's radar, maybe as successor to Hjalte Froholt, or just maybe pushing over, playing right guard, left guard, being a Swiss Army knife in the interior of the offensive line.
More
4'8", 4'8", 440 at his size.
That's what the Cardinals want. Football King 499. More Gambo talk. Gambo thinks Booker, Simmons, Banks, Harmon, Williams, or Nolan. Wow, a lot of guys. He ruled out JPJ basically and said Shamar Stewart only in a trade down. Thoughts? I mean, we just listed like 10 players. I mean, I like some of those guys. I don't think they have an issue with JPJ. Shamar Stewart, we've talked about. I think you would love him. I don't know if you'd love him. You'd like him a lot with an extra third in your back pocket or an extra second round pick in your back pocket, right? But I mean, our thoughts are defensive line at 16, unless they want to take Josh Simmons, which we feel like could be a possibility otherwise. I want to hit this other one real quick, Bo. It's Mad Max talking more about Gambo, and even Daniel Jeremiah and Allbright saying offensive line for the Cardinals, hard to bet against it. Well, we know they like some of these offensive tackles in this class. They had top 30 visits.
I just think that the pool to select from at 16th overall is going to be a little bit, it's going to be shallow. There's not going to be a whole lot of options. So it's either they love Josh Simmons, and because it's going to be the fourth tackle potentially that would go in the top 20. So that's the issue there. And then you start to look at, okay, if you're going to go offensive line, is this going to be somebody that's going to be able to play for you? And it's going to best what you're going to be able to get from a rotational defensive front seven player.
Let's keep things going here. Reezy Baby, friend of the program, $5, almost 24 hours until JPJ is a Cardinal, and 48 till Donovan Jackson's. Hashtag still holding. Thank you guys for the coverage. The next 3 days will be lit. We appreciate you, Reezy Baby. I love both those players. I'm not going to be objective about it. I just feel like the Cardinals with Justin Fry in their pipeline, they need a couple positions up front on the offensive line. Like they're going to take an offensive line from Ohio State, are they not? Like how are they not going to do that? They're going to, like, if you're Justin Fry, it's like you have 2 first-round caliber offensive linemen, or certainly 2 top 40 guys, health permitting. It's like probably just go grab one of those guys.
Yeah. And like Paris Johnson Jr. said it yesterday, he'd love to see some of the guys from his alma mater join him in that room. I don't think he's naive to it. I think, him and Justin Fry, they're tight. They talk. Maybe that's something that they've been discussing. I mean, but the draft dominoes have to make sense. They have to fall the right way. And Donovan Jackson is available, and it's the right time for him to go off the board, and the Cardinals like him. Or, some of the other guys from the line, like the center, was it Seth McLaughlin? Like
mid-rounder?
Yeah. Maybe those are the options for you. Steve Wicker jumping in, $5. Thanks, Steve. Hey, y'all, PHX AZ already has one guard named Booker. It wouldn't be right to take a second. Hashtag hold the line. That's right. There's D-Book. There can't be T-Book.
No. Patrick James, $9.99. We've been saying D-line is so deep, we should address that early. Wouldn't it make more sense to pick from a weak early class for offensive line and get D-line later where the talent drop-off isn't as steep? I mean, it goes back, Patrick, to Bo's previous point where it's like, well, who is worth offensive line at pick 16? If, like, it is not my favorite player, if Kelvin Banks Jr. is there at 16 and they're like, this is a top 10 player on our board, then just take him. No issue with that. Not my favorite. If Membu's got a little bit of a shoulder, Will Campbell, if one of those guys fell, let's go, right? I don't know where they have Josh Connolly Jr. It doesn't sound like they brought him in. They obviously like the Ohio State guys. You cannot convince me that a guard of any kind, much less a guard with limitations athletically, is worth more long-term than a 10-plus sack edge rusher, a disrupting 5 technique, something they do not have in terms of youth to develop outside of Darius Robinson. I find it very convenient. We love the off-season signing. Sweat, Tomlinson, Calais.
Yeah.
We're year to year with all those guys. Hopefully it works out. You need young players that are ready to go at defensive line that you can develop behind these guys. It's just a much more important position than guard. And I love offensive line play. They have shown they can do that later. Go and get one of these, what we feel like is a premier player up front defensively.
Yeah. The defensive front class is so deep. Let's say like your Mason Grahams, your Abdul Carters, let's just say you're doing on a scale of 10 and they're 9s, right?
Yeah.
Once you get down the line here and based on teams picking, and then you get to DT2 and say that's Walter Nolan and he's an 8. But then you're down to offensive tackle number 4 in this class where it's not as high. It's like, let's say he's a 6. So you're going to take that 6 instead of an 8 at a position, because you say, oh, hey, we're going to zig while the rest of the league is zagging here. Right? It doesn't make sense, especially when it's like, okay, you got this tackle here in the first round, probably pushed up just because people are always looking for premium position offensive tackles, and he'll get selected. But then, like, compared to a guy who's going day 2, who's not, let's call him a 5, like it's not that far off, and you can get him later in the draft while really maximizing your pick and getting the better player overall.
Brian asking $2 super chat, friend of the program. Looking forward to seeing Brian tomorrow at the draft party. If all 5 guys are available on our big 5, who's the choice? Number 1, I think Bo and I, you flip a coin between Walter Nolan and Mykel Williams. Probably Mykel Williams for me, Brian.
I'm with you on that. I mean, I don't want to disagree with everything Johnny says, but it just makes a whole lot of sense as far as giving yourself somebody with the upside like Mykel Williams, that can go in there and rush off the edge and do the things that they ask their outside linebackers to do, give you some pass rush upside, outside of the acquisition of Josh Sweat, because the other guys, and I know that Williams is included in this being a first-year player, but Baron Browning had 2 sacks last year, right? And hasn't exceeded 5 in his career.
Yeah.
Zaven Collins, very similar. BJ Ojulari hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy. Like, there's so many unknowns. Why not bring somebody in that projects to at least be more in line with what you have in Josh Sweat than you have somebody more in line with Baron Browning, who's going to have to change, some of the tape and production that he's had so far at the NFL level through, his rookie contract.
This marks the end of our speculation en route to tomorrow. Want to remind everybody, get your tickets now, but here's a great chance to win 2 free tickets to our draft party. Again, 2 tickets, Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. Here are the credentials, friends. We appreciate everybody that's bought tickets. We have limited quantity remaining. If you are the first person to message Bo and I separately within our DMs after the show with the caption, I want my draft tickets now, okay? And you live in proximity and you can come and get them and go to the draft party tomorrow, you will get the 2 tickets. Show up to Gila. We'll confirm it tomorrow that you have won, or we'll try to confirm it tonight. But you come in our DMs. Don't do it before the show is over. The minute the show is over, I want my draft tickets now, 2 free tickets. You got to come into both of our DMs. Bo and I will do a meeting of the minds and see who's won the tickets. And then you can, of course, attend tomorrow. But again, if you're in the area, in all seriousness, come out. We'll have merch. We'll have giveaways. Our GM Espo was talking about some of the stuff we're going to be giving away. And can I tease any of it, Bo?
Yeah.
I mean, is there some jerseys being?
There's one. I know. I do have intel that there's one elusive jersey that people had a tough time getting last year, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's going to be part of the giveaways. And look, if you're in attendance, there's a really good chance you're walking away with some swag.
Yep, absolutely. But we're almost sold out, capacity crowd. You can gamble tomorrow. All you can eat buffet, 3 drink tickets, okay, included. And if you're a diehard, which is just $36 a month right now, for the year, $3 a month, you're going to get 20% off. So again, any hesitation, any questions you have, shoot us a DM. We're going to be out there. Again, full coverage throughout the next 3 days. So again, if you're not in proximity, no worries. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on YouTube. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. Get us to 40K. Ring that bell for notifications so you know when we're going live. Our pre-show starts tomorrow at Gila at 4:30. And we're live throughout the duration of the first round, even after the Cardinals pick, into Friday, into Saturday. Your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast is here, and we're here, Bo, to service your draft needs and put a bow on this draft season.
I can't wait. It's been a long, fun road. Thanks to all of you, and also Fran Duffy, who's got the most thorough, in-depth draft guide that you can find. You can still access it for the very low price of $3 a month. You can take advantage of it, $36 for a year, become a diehard, and get full access to all our draft insight led by Fran Duffy. Sign up, become a diehard right now. If you want to do some last-minute cramming for this draft, you're not going to miss it. And then, of course, you're going to want to keep that handy as we're going to, throughout the draft process, like Friday, we'll have best available. I think you're going to do second round mock.
So I will have tomorrow night in the wee hours of the evening, basically in the middle of the night, I will drop, it is a diehard exclusive, my day 2 mock draft, second and third round in completion. But you got to be a diehard to read it. I know it's been free in years prior, and I just dropped my mock draft for free the first round. Only way you can read my day 2 mock at about 1 a.m. tomorrow night is you got to have a diehard membership, which is just $3 a month. You get a free piece of merch. So if you want to check that out, I would encourage everybody. There are so many perks to becoming a diehard besides my day 2 mock. But yeah, this is one of our favorite times of year. One of these days, playoff time for the Cardinals is going to be our favorite time of year, but this will suffice for now.
Yeah, we got a super chat here at the buzzer from our guy T Vato saying, "Will Gardek, Ryman be JV's +1 tomorrow?"
They can buy tickets like anybody else and attend if they so choose, but no, they will not. Hey, listen. Tip Ryman is really my only saving grace right now for Tyler Booker not being an Arizona Cardinal, because I can revert back to how Tip Ryman's selection hurt me a year ago, keep those RAS receipts, and have it come full circle. But Monti Ossenfort, you dirty dog, don't do us dirty. Good job, 199. See y'all at the draft party, fellow diehards. Hell yeah, good job. See you at the draft party. Hit us up and let us know what time you're rolling in. Man, oh man, if you have not become a diehard, getting in the Discord, it's popping off. And of course, our party tomorrow, Bo, I can't wait.
No, nobody can wait. We weren't going to delay the show any longer. We can get off, just get those things done, those pesky things like dinner and hanging out with our family, and then we can all hang together tomorrow. Yeah, just get those done, right? Get your list done of chores. Get that work out of the way. So the next 3 days, you can just be locked in to PHNX Cardinals with your premier draft coverage. Kicking off tomorrow. Join us, won't you? Gila River Resorts and Casinos, as Johnny said, 2 free tickets. They're on the line. DM us both. And what is it? What's the line?
It's in the chat. I want my draft tickets now.
All right. And we will talk to you all mañana here on PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.